evaluator today, evaluating Bill Murray's speech, will be Felipe Armas.
Felipe! Hey!
Bill, I want to congratulate for an excellent speech, an impromptu speech. And you asked me to look for a couple of things. One of those is organization. And I think you started the speech in an excellent manner. I from the start with a question, but you were also acting. So by acting, you're portraying a strong feeling of what, or at least you attract the curiosity of all of us what you're trying to do. So that right off hook, probably everybody to your speech. Then in your body, you gave 6 points, and you start going through every single point in a thorough manner. So the first thing that you say, well, memorization. And you say that it comes very easy, naturally for you. But I think in that particular point, you didn't mention how Toastmasters is helping you perhaps improve your memorization. You could have mentioned something like every time before in a speech you practice and you in that way you rehearse your memorization. Then you talk about pause. And you did an excellent job because while you were speaking, you pause. And you make it look so obvious that you just learn by observation. Good job. Eye contact. It is true that by having people's eye contact, you get energized. And you show that, and you did a fabulous job. You talk about position. And you naturally, during the entire speech, you were moving from one end to the other end, and you were positioning yourself very well. And then you split in the theater. How will you do that? So, also, very good job. And you talk about your face and your body. And, well, we have seen your previous speech, and during this speech, it has been no difference. You have an ability to do that very well. And you also explain how in Daybreakers you practice that. So, good job. And be yourself. Be yourself. You explain how Daybreakers has helped, but I think you could also explain that perhaps it gives you more confidence or stuff like that. Some examples. What I'm trying to say is, most of the time you provide examples about your recent experience in acting, but almost all those times you provide an example for Daybreakers, but not always. So that's one thing that you always have to compare and contrast, especially in this speech. And then you have the conclusion, and I believe the conclusion was it was sincere, but was very short. And one thing that I suggest to do is to go back to the introduction. And in the introduction, you start right off by acting. So if you could have act at the end and say something, whatever it might be, by just acting, you will have made it even more powerful. And then the other thing that you could also have done in the conclusion is to go back to your 6 points and repeat those 6 points. So that's my suggestion. But excellent job and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Felipe. Our next evaluator, evaluating High Eyes, will be Leticia Diaz-Dillon.
Traditional manual, because I was looking and I didn't know we had one of those. So thank you for introducing him and explaining that this is of his own creation. Hi, I think Dottie would be proud of your use of the Cajun accent. Although I'm not Cajun, I thought it was very good. As far as improvements, the memorizing would have been just over the top if you would have done it. So I thought that was the one improvement that could have been done, because you did use gestures, you did use a little bit of hand gestures, but I could tell, for instance, when I don't remember what the line was, but you raised your hand, but you were like this, reading the story. So you were trying to act it out, but just not memorizing it kind of impeded your actions. But overall, I thought you did a great job of the use of the accent. And the tempo with the Night Before Christmas, sometimes when monologues are very wordy, it's hard to keep that rhythmic tempo going. And so I thought you did a good job of that. So overall, good job. Next time, memorize it so that we can really get the full effect. Thank you.
And last but surely not least, our club curmudgeon is up to do our evaluation of Tina's speech. Good luck.
Name's Dan Gormley. Gormley. Tina gave his second speech before the club. He was to lead the audience in a clear, defined goal, one that had a beginning, body, and conclusion. By the end of the speech, all our mouths were watering. Some running in the other way not to eat what he was suggesting, and some wanting to devour the essence of the speech. He gave us what Malaysia looked like. He talked about the Sean Connery film, where the big buildings, etc., and the dwellings, and then he got into what he wanted to talk about. What I would suggest to improve the speech, start off with a brief description of Malaysia and say, I'll be talking about the Malaysia culture and food you'll be eating, because the rest of it you dealt with the food. This way there's no incongruent beginning the Malaysia and then coming back to the food. Your description of the bread, the milk tea, the fatty rice, and the pungent smell of the next item was extremely inviting for all of us. Some of us wanted to be there with you and partake of the items. Others of us were glad that we weren't there. Your image, projection, what you were saying, was all with us. What I would suggest, and that was one out by me, was, thank you, was that you use a little more pause in what you're saying, where we can savor the picture and really get in the atmosphere. That also, you really didn't need your notes up here, because you spoke from the heart and you knew what you were telling us. And thirdly, I do this all the time, but what you need to do is step back, relax, and if anything, throw this out of the way and talk to us as individuals. As if you were working for the Chamber of Commerce of Malaysia and you were inviting us to come there next summer and meet you in a buffet of food, gaiety, and festivities where some of us that haven't traveled may have not seen before. It was an enlightening speech. In fact, Richard Cummings said that, yes, next time he's in that part of the world, he's going to be dropping in and see you. Connie says my time is about up. She says it is up. So congratulations.